Good morning. I want to request that we bow our heads for a word of prayer. Our Father and our God, we come before you this morning. We thank you for the gift of life. We thank you, Lord, for this opportunity you've given us to sit down and to talk about our convention, Lord. Father in heaven, I want to pray that you may guide us. I pray for guidance that comes from you. I even commit the convention unto your able hands, my Father. I want to commit our chief guest unto your able hands. I want to commit all the guests, oh my Father. May you be with us as we start the whole program, Lord. We pray for your guidance that comes from you. We pray that you may guide us in each and everything that you are going to do until the end. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen.
Okay, so thank you very much, Engineer Jennifer, for your opening prayer. Our chief guest, Honorable Alice Wahome, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. Our President, Engineer Eric Ohaga. The Chairman, Engineers Board of Kenya, Engineer Erastus Mugera. It is my single pleasure and honor to be here to invite you all on behalf of IEK to this media launch. As you all know, we have a very major event happening on the 21st to 25th of November 2022 in Diani, Kwale County. And we believe as a planning committee that it is important that the fraternity and the public sector and all the engineering fraternity are made aware of this particular event so that they can plan to attend. And also the media need to know that we're having this particular event so that they can cover our event. And that is why we found it very important that we have this particular media launch so that we can partner with the Fourth Estate in this particular event. And we believe that you'll give us enough coverage so that we can publicize the issues that we are trying to discuss at the convention on the theme of sustainable engineering in the era of climate change. So I think without any further ado, I want to take this opportunity to introduce some of the sponsors who have very generously supported us in this particular event. As you know, running a convention is a very involving kind of undertaking, and therefore we call upon our stakeholders, our partners in various sectors to come on board and support us. And we are so grateful that quite a number of them are here with us this morning. So I want to take an opportunity to just invite each one of them for just 1 minute to give a few remarks.
Chief guest and fellow engineers, good morning. I think this is a very momentous occasion for this institution, and probably we are the first institution to host the new CS for Water and Sanitation. Madam CS, we are very grateful. And I want to say that there's part of your docket that is always overlooked, sanitation. And sanitation is very crucial for this country. I think we concentrate so much on water until we forget about our sanitation part. But I want to urge your ministry that for the next 5 years, let's concentrate on sanitation of this country, because that is a very important component of your docket. Thank you very much. You said 1 minute.
I think, can we give them a very hearty applause? Yeah, we have received a lot of support from the energy sector, including nuclear, what is it called? Yes, nuclear power and energy sector from KenGen, and many other sectors from the energy sector. So now I want to also acknowledge somebody from the roads agencies. If we have anyone from the road agencies, please be upstanding. Okay, I think I had announced and I didn't see anyone. Yes, we have somebody from the construction sector, Engineer Morris Akech from the National Construction Authority, also a very big partner of the IEK. Karibu sana engineer.
Madam CS, the IEK leadership, the chair of the Board of Registration of Engineers, EBK, all colleagues present, engineers, good morning. Good morning. Yeah, my name is Engineer Morris Akech, the CEO of National Construction Authority. I'm pleased to be here this morning because I interact with every other space that you interact with, and we are very happy that we have been invited to be part and parcel of this. National Construction Authority belongs to all sectors that undertake construction, so we cover you all. So we are looking forward to partnership. We are looking forward to a great event because indeed, even some of my contractors whom we regulate are also engineers. So that will be a capacity development initiative for the engineers in the construction sector or construction business. Looking forward to the great event next week. See you there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Engineer Maurice Okech, for those few remarks. Incidentally, there are over 59. We are expecting 59 members from NCA to participate in the event. So I think let us acknowledge their professional, from a capacity building point of view, that is extremely very good. So now we move on to a representation from the private sector, represented here by Engineer James Mwangi. Engineer James Mwangi, karibu sana.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Alice Wahome, Cabinet Secretary, Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, President of IEK, plus your council, the Chairman of the Engineers Board of Kenya, plus members of your board, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of private sector, I would like to start by congratulating the Institution of Engineers of Kenya for the progress it has made so far in the preparation of the convention that will be taking place next week. I think the key thing we in the private sector would like to recognize is the theme also of this particular convention, that the institution has seen it fit to bring in this conversation of private change in the conversation of construction and infrastructure. And I believe the private sector has taken particular attention to this, as is displayed by the very many private sector sponsors whose banners are displayed here today. We in the private sector know that climate change has a phenomenal impact in the business in our country, and therefore this conversation must be such that we take into account the measures that we must put in place to reverse climate change effects and to also adapt to it. I'm a director at the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, and we are fully supportive of the institution who are members of the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. And I would like to urge colleague engineers, other stakeholders, welcome to Diani. See you there. Asanteni.
Makofi to Engineer James Mwangi, representing private sector, and private sector has really supported us in a very big way. We really appreciate. I want to acknowledge the support also from one of our partners, who he's represented here by Grace Mwamba. This is Absa Bank. So, Grace Mwamba, please, karibu sana.
Thank you very much to the Honorable Secretary, Cabinet Secretary, the leadership and members of the institution, IEK, members of the Fourth Estate with us, and all distinguished guests. As ABSA, we are really excited to be part of this conversation. I'm sure others are wondering, what is a financial institution doing here? We thrive in partnerships, and we are partnering with professional institutions like yourselves to be able to participate in the working space in our environment. As a bank, we've also gotten into the sustainability agenda. We have done retrofitting of our buildings. Actually, 5 of them got awards for the EDGE Award because of what we've done, catering to lighting and water, making sure that we do water filtration without using the plastic bottles. So what we are saying is we are really happy about this conversation. We are really honored to be part of the convention, which is happening next week. So we'll spend time with you, and we are glad. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Absa Bank, represented here by Grace Mwamba, for sponsoring and supporting us in this particular convention. We have one more representation from the telecommunication sector, Solitech. Can we have Mercy? Mercy, are you on board? Karibu sana. And please introduce your organization.
Sure. Good morning, all. I'm Mercy Mukoya from Soliton Telmec. We are a telecommunication engineering company in East Africa, majorly in optical fiber network. We work with designing and planning, deployment, construction, and maintaining of network globally to ensure that cities, villages, globally in Africa, in Kenya, are connected to internet services. So we are really privileged to be with the IEK convention, and we are looking forward to be with you in Diani, having taken the bronze sponsorship to work with you. And I hereby represent Soliton family, who are very greatly honored to be with you in this convention. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mercy, from Soliton Telmec Telecommunications. We have very many engineers from the telecommunication sector, Madam Waziri, and they're all participating and sponsoring also the event. We also have a representation from the water sector. Actually, this is the real representation, starting with the CS herself, supporting us in this event. We are very delighted. Once again, I can't say it enough, but we have a representation from the water sector, Athi, let me get that right, Athi Waterworks. So karibu sana Engineer Kamau. Yes, Engineer Kamau is the head of infrastructure at Athi Waterworks. Karibu sana.
Good morning, colleagues. Our Cabinet Secretary for Water and Sanitation, distinguished leaders of Institution of Kenya, engineers of Kenya, our Chairman of Engineers Board. My name is Engineer Kamau. I work at Athi Waterworks. I'm a fellow member of the institution, and the CEO for NUPEA has said that sanitation is the in thing. Athi Waterworks is responsible for water and sanitation infrastructure for the Nairobi metropolitan area, and we are committed to delivering that mandate, Madam Cabinet Secretary. We are sponsors of the convention, and we shall be there next week with a huge delegation of engineers in the water and sanitation sector. The theme of the conference is about climate resilience, and we are in that space developing sustainable infrastructure for livable cities and for communities. Thank you. See you in Mombasa.
Thank you very much, Engineer Kamau. We are looking forward to seeing you in Diani and hear more about the solutions that the engineers from the water sector have. And without any further ado, I think I want to just highlight one or two protocols, which I'll soon be hearing from the Engineers Board of Kenya, and then after that I'll be calling upon the President to address us. So please, I think I would encourage you to stay on board. And at this juncture, I want to just appreciate, maybe just on a light touch, that some people want to ask about the precision of engineers. I want to tell them a small joke here. When you ask an optimist about a glass, when he sees a glass which looks about what is in the glass, the optimist will always say the glass is half full, okay? But the pessimist will say the glass is half empty. And what will the engineer say? The glass is twice as big as it needs to be. That is the precision that engineers bring to this environment, to the society. So without any further ado, I want to invite the chairman of the EBK, Engineer Erastus Mongera, to really explain to us the precision that the engineers are all about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Kagondu, our CS for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, Honorable Alice Wahome, the President of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, Engineer Eric Ohaga, the CEOs and the senior officials both in public and private sector present here, all protocols observed. Honorable Minister, allow me to put our being here today in the context of God's agenda. When God created the heavens and the earth, the Bible tells us the earth was formless and it was only His Spirit which was hovering over it. And you find this in Genesis 1. And then the first ones God spoke were those of engineering nature, because He commanded, "Let there be light," and there was light, and that darkness was exposed. The next command God gave was that of water. And God said, "Let the waters of the up and the waters of the deep separate." So we had the atmosphere and we had the area, the earth area where we live. So Waziri, you are here because water is very, very important to mankind, or to humankind, if I may. I don't want to speak, then I'm beaten because I'm not in gender balanced in my language. And scientists also say, other than the air we breathe, deny a human being everything else, but provide them with the water, and they will live for as long as their physical fitness is. So water is very critical to our daily life. Having said that, let me say that when the Council of the Institution of Engineers set to organize this conference, they invited a partnership. We normally partner the institution and the board, the Engineers Board of Kenya, and we constituted a committee which I am privileged to chair, and the institution nominated Engineer Collins Juma. If I mention your name, you can just put up your hand, you don't have to stand. Engineer Collins Juma is a co-chair of that team. The president is a member of the team, and we have several conference themes because the theme is sustainable engineering in the era of climate change. We have several themes in the conference. The first one is technical and papers. This is the one coming up with the topics that will be discussed, the program and others. This is chaired by Christine Ogut. I don't know whether she's with us. She's the second vice president of the institution. Then we have the other committee of planning and logistics, chaired by the honorary secretary, Mr. Engineer Shemi Kitemi is here. Then we have the next team, which is marketing and branding, chaired by the first vice president, Engineer Grace Kagondu, and she's already playing that role here by emceeing this function. The third topic is Women Engineers Chapter, chaired by Frola Kamanza. Frola, she has gone out. Then we have Men Engineers Chapter, there is this rivalry. We started with women, but men said, why are we being discriminated? So this year we have a men's chapter chaired by Engineer Paul Chonda. And then we have a very important romantic area group of young engineers, of future leaders. This one starts with call it kindergarten, all the way to young engineers who have just graduated. And this is chaired by Lillian Kilasi. Then the next, the Mantic area is resource mobilization, chaired by the immediate President, Engineer Nathaniel Matalanga. I've not seen him in the room. Then the last but not least is the budget and the finance, chaired by Engineer Justice Otoma, who is also the honorary treasurer of the institution. Is not in. So that is a team that is organizing this conference, Honorable Minister. Having said that, let me say a few things about the board. The Engineers Board of Kenya is the regulatory body of all the engineers in our country and beyond. It is established under Section 3.1 of the Engineers Act 2011. Its mandate is spelled out in Section 7 of that Act, and also the Engineers Rules of 2019. Our main focal points are registration of engineers, and we register engineers in 4 categories. Graduate engineers, these are the engineers who have finished universities, having done courses that have been accredited by the board. They enter the register at that level. The Act demands that they are trained for 3 years, after which they can sit for professional examination and become professional engineers on condition that they are members of the institution of engineers. Then the next category is professional engineers. These are engineers now who have been registered, and they are allowed to practice engineering with authority because they can approve, they can design and approve their designs and supervise engineering works in all areas. Then we have a category of consulting engineers. These are much senior engineers who have done more consulting works. This category of engineers are also allowed to form and register consulting firms. We have quite a number of them in this room. And the other categories are accredited checkers. Consider these are the top engineers who, some of them have even done it all and they say they don't want to do it anymore. But these are the experts who the government or private sector calls, invites to form panels, to give opinion, professional opinion, because they have it all here in their mind. And this is the last category. We also register temporary engineers, especially those engineers invited by government and private sector to come to this country to execute certain projects. We register them for the life of the project, and then after that they go back to their country. We have also a mutual recognition agreement within our region, East Africa region, and engineers registered in those countries can come here and they are registered and they work within Kenya without necessarily having to sit professional interviews. We also register engineering consulting firms so that those who want to consult, they can then do this. Honorable Minister, we have a big challenge because out of a total membership of about 25,000 engineers, only 5,000 are professional consulting engineers. The rest are graduate engineers. This is the challenge the board is facing and has confronted it, and we have come up with a strategic plan to change this equation. By year 2027, will not be there as a board, but the board will be there, there will be others, but by that time we expect to reverse the equation so that we can have at least 10,000 professional engineers. The reason for this, Minister, is because UNESCO has done analysis of service of engineers to the community. And it is recommended, they have recommended that a professional engineer should be able to serve 5,000 people in the community. In our own context, we should be having an engineer serving people in a location or a sub-location depending on the population, so that they don't go out of that, residents of that area don't go looking for engineers to design their water schemes, to design their power requirements, and so on and so forth. And I believe this is what the Kenya Kwanza government has put very well as bottom up in the professionalism, so that we can have professionals at that level to assist Wananchi to do things in the right manner. So that is why we have that target. In preparing engineers to do this, Honorable Minister, we have developed engineers identification card. So every professional engineer will have a card which they can use to introduce themselves. I carry mine, it is here. We have also given engineers, again professional engineers, engineers a stamp, so that when they design, they can stamp their documents, their designs and the reports authoritatively, so that even if they are presented to local authorities or to the government when they are tendering, they will be wearing that stamp. We have also, however, seen some engineers being a bit casual with this stamp and stamping documents anyhowly, especially in the building sector when buildings are collapsing, and we are just cautioning them. The stamp is very special to you. You should use it to stamp what is right. The other thing we have achieved for engineers, Honorable Minister, are the engineer scale of fees. We briefed you a little bit about this, which were approved in May this year. And the engineers now, these set minimum charges that engineers should charge, just similar to lawyers, but engineers can negotiate higher fees depending on what they are doing. On our global perspective, we are working towards Washington Accord, acceding to Washington Accord, where we'll be a signatory, after which we'll become associate members of the International Engineering Alliance. And then our engineers will be able to be internationally, globally mobile. There will be mobility for them. Here, our universities will be centers of excellence, attracting students from foreign countries and therefore earning our country forex. And also our teaching academia will be able to go out and be examining externally and so on. In preparation for this, last month, the government allowed us to go to Paris to bid to be members of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations. And we were there, we were elected as affiliate member, as a board. The institution is already a national member of that organization, but we are elected as an affiliate member, and this is bringing us closer to this journey towards Washington Accord. Honorable Minister, the other things we do is we also set standards to be followed for engineering works. We also come up with a regulatory framework so that the development can be done in a very good professional ways. And we also set quality of work so that universities can teach programs that have been accredited by the board. And just like any other professional bodies, the lawyers do the same, doctors do the same, so that we can link the academia with the industry. And we are also making this very practical because we have started a pilot under the State Department of Roads. We shall be expanding this to other state departments where we are linking the academia with the industry, and then they can do applied research which the industry can use for implementation of its programs, and the universities can use that for teaching and especially supporting the engineers who are lecturers to become professionals, to become professional engineers and consulting engineers. Honorable Minister, let me stop there and now take this opportunity to invite the President of the institution to make his remarks and invite you to address us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members from the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. I want to take this opportunity, first of all, to say that as a fraternity, engineering fraternity in this country, we are happy today for this particular launch. And we are more specifically happy because of Honorable Alice Wahome, who is the Cabinet Secretary in charge of water, irrigation, and sanitation, having accepted to grace this particular occasion and having been the first Cabinet Secretary to associate with us as engineers. I think that is an honor that we appreciate from the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. And from the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, as you have been told, I'm happy to introduce to you the Council, members of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya here. And I want to start first of all by just recognizing my first Vice President, Engineer Grace Kagondu. This is our first Vice President. And then we have Engineer Lilian Kilatia, who is the Chair of the Future Committee. And also we have Engineer Jennifer Korir, who is a Council member. And we have the CEO also present here today, who is organizing for this particular event. Members, we are happy because we are looking forward to our 29th International Conference that is happening between the 21st and the 25th of this month. And from the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, we look at the welfare of the engineering fraternity in this country. And as we have been told, we look at the welfare from the kindergarten all the way to the topmost accredited checker. And the Future Engineers leadership looks at the young engineers, and that means from primary school all the way to university. And then we move from there until we get to the consulting engineers. And this particular convention that we are going to have is very critical to us because it's going to discuss on matters to do with climate change. And engineers are there to provide solutions. So ladies and gentlemen, we are really honored. We are really honored to appreciate what we have today, especially to be able to publicize this particular event that is going to happen in Diani next week. Therefore, our chief guest, Honorable Alice Wahome, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, our Chairman, Engineers Board of Kenya, Engineer Erastus Mongera, the CEOs present here today. I appreciate Engineer Collins Juma, who is the CEO in charge of Nuclear Power and Energy Agency, Engineer Cage in charge of the NCA, and other chairmen and CEOs present here today. Our partners, and they have been introduced here and they have been able to say a comment. Council members present here today, engineers, professional engineers, and other stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to share with you this moment as we launch the international event that seeks to redefine the future of engineering practice in Kenya. At the center of it all is sustainability of the practice even as the world grapples with the effect of global warming. UNESCO defines sustainable engineering as a process of using resources in a way that does not compromise the environment or deplete the materials for the future generations. Our target is to have about 3,000 physical delegates attending our convention and about 4,000 attending virtually. And therefore, we are looking at a total of about 7,000 delegates participating in this particular convention. The first 20 editions of the convention have dwelt on the different discussion areas, and I'm glad that this year's convention theme of sustainable engineering in the era of climate change is as topical as it spells out the global plague that the entire world is struggling to mitigate. This year's convention is also unique, as it will also be launching the first Future Leaders Summit, as well as the first Men Summit, and also the Women Engineers Summit. And therefore, you can be well aware that we seriously want to participate and provide solutions that will mitigate the effects of climate change. And the thematic areas that have been well designed for this particular convention, we are looking at panel discussions that members of the engineering fraternity and the policymakers are going to participate in providing tangible solutions to climate change. We look at the designs, we shall be looking at the constructions, the operations and maintenance of all the infrastructure issues that should comply with the climate resilient design so that we mitigate the effects of climate change. You are aware that about 68% of the effects of climate comes from the energy sector. And the government of Kenya is deliberate on ensuring that renewable energy is included in the energy mix. And if we continue with this and achieve about 98% of renewable energy in our energy mix, and therefore that will continue to ensure that we mitigate the climate change. This country is endowed with enough resources in the solar industry, in the wind industry, in the biomass industry, and we are also looking forward to introducing the first nuclear power plant in this country. And when this is achieved, we shall be contributing towards the mitigation of climate change. So the discussion in Diani is going to be very critical because we are going to look at all members participating in providing executable solutions towards this thematic area of climate change. Therefore, members, we are looking forward to many of us participating in this particular event, and we are encouraging you to participate both virtually and physically come next week from the 21st to the 25th of this month. It is therefore my singular honor now to Okay, thank you so much, Engineer Grace, for being head of protocol. And I think there are things that you require to be mentioned here. A reason why members of this engineering fraternity and members of this country should attend this particular convention. And the first one is very critical, having worked for 12 months in this particular year, and this convention coming on in November is giving us an opportunity to be able to network, share knowledge, and learn the new trends in the engineering practice. That is very critical as we end this year in style. And we are saying that we are going to have enough people attending this convention, and the young people are going to be mentored by the senior people who are here and give sustainability in terms of the engineering practice in the country. Of course, we want to interact with the government, and we are going to take a very deliberate effort in this council to collaborate and cooperate with the sitting government so that we can offer solutions to be able to attend to the plans that have been put in place with the government of Kenya. So we want to be collaborators, we want to be very strategic partners in provision of solutions towards the plan of the government. And therefore, Even today, having our CS here is a demonstration that the Institution of Engineers of Kenya is very much open to partner specifically with the government to provide this particular solution. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my honor to invite our chief guest, who is the Honorable Alice Wahome, to now address the media. Thank you so much, and let's stand up for the conference.
Let's get seated. Thank you. Thank you very much, the President. Sometimes back, in the old order of the Constitution, there was only one president in the country, the President of the Republic of Kenya. Nowadays, with the new space, we can get that title. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Yeah, thank you very much for this particular morning. I recognize the President of the Engineers, Institute of Engineers of Kenya, Eric Ohaga, the Chairman of Engineers Board, Engineer Mwongera, Erastus, members of the board of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya who are here, the council members, partners, all stakeholders, including those which are from my ministry, our ministry. I can see Engineer Kamau here. The last time I met him, we were pushing for some projects for the constituency so that I can get some leverage. Asante sana for the work you did. Now we meet on a new platform. I was pushing simple things like tanks for schools for purposes of storage, which is a very big discussion. You may see a tank and ignore the tank, but a tank, even for your mother, is a very instrumental equipment in the homes. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here this morning to launch a media launch. It's really for purposes of a media launch for the coming convention, 29th convention, meaning we have had 28 conventions of this particular institution. The engineers have been able to put up with the logistics every year and come this morning to announce to the Republic, to announce to the entire world that there will be another convention on 21st to 25th of this month in Diani, at Diani Beach, one of our beautiful beaches in this country. The venue, the choice cannot speak better. And I think it was deliberate so that including international guests and delegates, you have a beach like no other, and therefore you cannot afford to miss. Those who want to be online, I would want to appeal to them to change their mind and actually come and book. It is not just Diani, we have many other restaurants, hotels of similar quality, magnitude, beautiful hotels in our coast region, and therefore space is not a problem. The costs, and I'm not marketing for them, the costs are also extremely competitive. I've just come from COP 27 over the weekend. I was there 1 week, and I can tell you we have something much better here in this country, because the hotel I was staying, an ordinary hotel, we were paying, because of the conference, the prices went 10 times. We were paying 86,000 shillings per night. I have never paid that kind of price. And I even put on the comments of the hotel, you know, with the living comments, and they were like, why did you put this, why did you give us 7 to 8 because they wanted, maybe I scored them 10, you know, a score of 10. But I scored them 7 to 8, and they asked me, I said, I don't think the price is commensurate to the service. And because I have traveled differently, including the United States, where during conferences also hotels go up, for you to pay $400 to $600, even in the United States, is a big deal. But now we were paying over $600. And indeed, other hotels were paying $800 US. That's very high. So I'm just encouraging the Kenyan, especially the Kenyan delegates, to all of you come. The engineers of Kenya, all of you should be in Diani. I will be there myself. The president has persuaded the new CS, Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. And I'm happy that we call it water sanitation, not sanitation at the end, but sanitation in the middle. So always complete the name. The title of the ministry is Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. And I hope we don't forget irrigation, because sometimes when the title seems to be long, people tend to say Ministry of Water. No, I have 3 dockets, so give me all the 3, because that's what I'm serving. So, Mr. President, I want to encourage you, and because I've heard that you already have about 5 to 6,000 guests, delegates, majority of them online, but quite a good number, over 1,000 who are present, who will be joining you physically in Mombasa. I think that's a good achievement. So this morning, I want to encourage the media to walk along with the institution as they host this particular annual conference. From today, give us space, be friendly as you have always been, announce what we are doing, give the content where you can, and I'm sure the engineers, the representatives of this noble profession, where you need content, they will be available to give you that content. So I have a few remarks to make towards this launch. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying that it gives me great pleasure to be part of this particular occasion as we launch a convention that will bring several voices together to chart a way forward on sustainable engineering. That is the theme. Indeed, at no point can we delink engineering from environmental sustainability. It is important to acknowledge that engineering involves the art of harnessing the resources of nature for the benefit of society, and I think the chairman repeated that. For example, the engineer is trained to develop infrastructure, make it possible for people to enjoy wholesome water, hydropower. Again, the engineer is capable of converting sunlight into solar energy for use by society. And the engineer can also use rocks, suds, soils to build houses, roads, airports, and other infrastructure that we use. Climate change remains a global risk to future generations. Some of the catastrophic consequences of climate change include global warming, air pollution, floods and storms, flooding. This then causes further health issues, destroying our infrastructure, water resources management issues, and a high demand for water and energy. The theme of this year's convention, Sustainable Engineering in an Era of Climate Change, it is timely and comes just at the time that the world has converged in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt of Africa. Egypt for Africa, COP27, United Nations Climate Change Summit, where countries come together to take action towards achieving the world's collective climate goals as agreed under the Paris Agreement and Convention. Indeed, we as a country did achieve a lot during this the COP27. You are aware that the President of the Republic of Kenya was one of the delegates, and I believe we have put into the public the achievements that he made, save for what I had said earlier. It was a great conference, and the climate change was still the theme of the conference. And of course, they are calling upon Africa to be the lead to deal with the climate change impact ourselves, individually, at personal level, at stakeholders level, at government level, everybody coming together. Just a year ago, on 30th October at Glasgow, Scotland, Kenya advocated for the full timely implementation of the Paris Climate Agreement during that year's United Nations Climate Change Conference, that is COP26. We can all see the devastation of floods where it remains drought, where it rains, and drought when it doesn't rain. We are always in a state of emergency. There is some missing there. Kenya is one of the most vulnerable countries, and at least emits, and the least in emitting the carbon. But as we are maybe among the lowest, including Africa actually, what we are suffering in terms of climate change is a big deal because Africa's contribution is said or has been captured as 3%. But we are receiving the largest negative impact for that. So that's why we are demanding action, and action is compensation in terms of financing, in terms of putting money to change the negative effects of climate change. And therefore, to all of us, it is about adaptation and ensuring our people, communities, and economy have the necessary resilience to recover when this happens. Engineers like yourselves play an integral role in shaping our interaction with the world. The decisions we make, this time I'm making myself also an engineer, so I'm saying the decisions we make on a day-to-day basis through our work can have a range of environmental, social, and economic impact. The construction of buildings, for example, consume natural resources outside of the boundaries of what happens on site, including the energy, water, and raw materials that we go into or we bring into the manufacturing of construction of these materials. Kenya is currently facing adverse drought situation where 20 out of 23 arid and semi-arid counties, that's the ASAL counties, are affected, and that has left about 4.5 million people, Kenyans, looking for food. And therefore, we have also seen cases of deaths arising from that. And there is a call to ensure that we reach all these 4.5 million people together. We have put in place as a ministry short-term measures to ensure that available water sources in drought-hit counties like boreholes that don't operate normally or have maybe become dilapidated. Servicing these boreholes has been done. We have identified hotspots in 23 counties in many of these areas, like Marsabit, Isiolo, Madera, among others, and distributed over 100 water bowsers. In short, we are taking water by trucks because short of that, people will go without water. And somebody stood here, I think either the chairman or the president said, without water and air, oxygen, then you don't have a living human being. So we are delivering water into those areas. We are also fueling. We have serviced boreholes that were not working to be able to mitigate the situation. My ministry will continue to work with the key sector players to ensure that we collectively put in place measures that will help mitigate this issue of sustainability in the long term. And that's your theme. I thank the IEK president, the council members, and all stakeholders for bringing together several voices locally and internationally, to discuss and bring tangible solutions through sustainable engineering concepts to mitigate and combat the effects of climate change. I urge all sector players, including the media, to support and attend the 29th IEK Convention, follow through the discussions for purposes of implementation, and be part of the change that we want to see in Kenya. Thank you and God bless you. So the call is to participate, and of course partners are very key. I've seen you, all of you here. We need more partners, both for the IEK, the board, the members, and also to partner with my ministry. Now, off the cuff of these particular comments that I had, let me say that engineers, you have an opportunity this particular 5 years to enter in a big way into the market of water development. You have heard the president and the ministry announce that we will be building, and in this building of dams, over 100, we have earmarked, we have identified where they will be. Most of the dams that we have identified, the surveys, the data, the drawings are all in place. What we need is professional skills, technical knowledge, personnel, availability of professional support. And I can tell you, the last bit of the launch is just about to happen. So there is a new space, including for private partners to partner with the public, meaning the government. The public-private partnership is the new way to go. Don't get worried about the issues of the water being expensive, because there is also a regulatory body that will deal with tariffs. We cannot worry about costs for a commodity that we don't have. We must first develop the commodity, develop the water resources, have it, and then discuss as to how much shall we sell it, because water is sold. What we have done as a government is to ensure at all times that the tariffs are affordable. And where they are not, and of course there are rates that are different depending on, if it is urban, because of infrastructure costs, it's slightly expensive. But we shouldn't say that the public-private partnership is likely to take the prices high. That is worrying about something that you don't have yet. Get it? Public participation shall be key to determine the costing of water, and it has always been. And therefore, there is a new space, and people are knocking doors at the ministry, at the government level, at the office of the president. Let us not leave this space to outsiders when Kenyans can be able to do it. These dams will be from mega dams, middle level dams, and small ponds. And when we talk of small, we are talking about 500 million shillings and below. Then the mega dams, of course, are 1 billion and above. And there are many, we are talking about 100, and we can do as many as we can be able to get the financial support for. Therefore, and you know, of course, where the country is by way of exchequer, and therefore it is important that we partner. I'm announcing this because if you are not the one doing the dam, then you are the one providing the professional support and skills. And Chairman, you raised that one when we went into the holding room, that engineers are feeling left out. Don't sit there and wait for people to come. Knock the doors, find ways. Of course, through our government agreements, we need to ensure that they capture the local content, and definitely that is where you then come in a bigger way, so that we are not leaving it to everybody outside there, save for Kenyans. I will endeavor to have the doors open so that we can interact like we have done this morning. So see you in Mombasa, Diani Beach. I'll be there, and therefore see you when I come. Just make sure that I'm there. I may not stay for the whole time, but I'll be there. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, our CS. I think we have not really appreciated her remarks. Engineers, able to remember. Shall we be upstanding, please? Yes. Shall we be upstanding? I think we have never had such a strong words of affirmation to the engineering sector, and we are so delighted, Madam CS. Please, a round of applause for the CS. Thank you very much. Okay, we can be seated. Madam CS, we have heard you. We are so delighted with your remarks. We have heard about the building of the dams. We have heard that engineers will be called upon in a big way to support the government in the next 5 years. Engineers, are we ready for that? Yes. I didn't hear. Are we ready? Yes. Kabisa, yes. Engineers are ready, Madam CS. You've heard them. They are ready and they are standing with you for the next 5 years in all the programs that the government will roll out. And the approach that you have mentioned, the private sector, the partnership, public-private partnership that will be used, the approach that will be used to build the more than 100 dams and all the other projects. I think the private sector are also here, and I want to hear them saying, are we ready? Yes. I didn't hear, can we say it? Are we ready? Yes. Fantastic. So the private sector, the public sector, the engineers, madam, are with you and this government. And I think at this juncture, I would like us to move to the next stage. I would like to invite the president to be on stage and also the chair of EBK so that we can honor our CS with the publication that we normally do, the Engineering in Kenya magazine. And I want to hand over this particular event to one of the members of the board, Engineer Ochola. Paul Ochola. Karibu sana, engineer.
Madam CS, the Institution of Engineers of Kenya normally has a magazine, and it's our pleasure this morning that we shall, on behalf of the chairman, Engineers Board of Kenya, we are going to share with you a few copies, one to yourself, and for onward transmissions. Yes. Yes, the content of the magazine basically captures all items engineering. The objective is to entertain, inform, and educate, inform, and to transform. Thank you so much.
So I think we're done with that particular program. At this juncture, I would like to invite the media. If anybody has a comment, a question, this is your time. We have agreed your partners. The CS has made sure that you're actually our partners, and we are very happy to have you on board. So if you have any question, this is your opportunity. Please just raise your hand and you have the floor. I can see a lady there in yellow.
From KBC. Madam CS, if you could just tell us, other than collaborating with engineers in building the dams,
Okay, thank you. Any other? I'm not seeing a hand. I think the information that we provided so far is very comprehensive, and the media are satisfied. Perhaps, Madam, you can. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't get your name. Your name?
I am Hibak Said from KBC.
KBC?
Yes.
Oh, good. You asked what other projects and whether in those other projects we are willing to partner with other people, and who are those. The docket is huge, and we are going big on sanitation. Somebody talked about sanitation, and of course distribution of water. You have seen many times we may do a borehole, but then we don't go to the last mile. So that on many projects where we don't have last mile, meaning moving from where the water point is, then distributing it further from that point by piping. That, of course, because that has to be done with the county governments, remembering that water is also devolved, and the water companies. The development of water resources is just, in my view, starting. And previously we have been doing water and living sanitation. At the moment we have about 30 sanitation projects that are underway, and there is a lot of interest in funding by ADB, by World Bank, and other partners, development partners, because we've realized that we were working on water without sanitation in these other smaller towns, so that you'll find that even Kisumu, which is a very big town, is not well, sanitation is still very low and very poor. Even in Nairobi, the informal settlements, we do not have sanitation. So these are new areas that we need and want to invest in. And therefore, in terms of who we will partner with, the media will be part of the partners, because you need to raise these issues where they are. And we need to have a new, maybe, paradigm shift of not blaming, but calling for implementation or action where the projects are. We have many dams that have stored. Sometimes it's because of the reasons of land compensation. Our maybe land tenure systems are complicated. Other areas is community land. It takes time, and that is an area where the president is very keen in ensuring that we take a shorter time. The National Land Commission has been asked to rethink how this will be worked out faster, instead of taking 2-3 years, and even at the end of the day, there are people still complaining of not being compensated on their land. And that, for example, has delayed the Northern Collector water to reach Nairobi and this is a project that was started in 2016. And I'm happy to report that on that one, the president is on is on that case, seeking and demanding that compensation be completed, and that project must be completed in the next maybe 2-3 months, so that we can have more water in Nairobi. I can report authoritatively that where we are in terms of provision of water access, we are like year 2000. And we need to move faster, about 20 years behind. So we need huge investment. And that's why the government is going out in a big way to discuss with partners. So engineers, lawyers will be very key because of documentation and ensuring that the processes of land acquisition are faster. Surveyors, land economics, valuers, because of valuation. I think it's one area that can employ very many people. Of course, when we are developing these resources, Kenyans with their knowledge and skills in that space will be included. I hope I've been able to answer you. Thank you.
My name is Eric Wanjala from Thank you. My name is Eric Wanjala, Tanzanian respondent for Tanzania Times. And my question is, we are surrounded by water bodies, Madam CS. Now, what is the long-term plan in addressing the situation as it is of water shortages? Reason being that we are surrounded by water bodies, but we keep on repeating shortage of water day in, day out. And also I would like the Association of Engineers to add on that, and also Engineer Mongera to state the current ratio of engineers to the community. Thank you.
Okay, I don't want us to digress from the subject, because today's subject was really the convention that we are, the annual convention that we are having on 21st, 25th. So you'll allow me, Wajara, that question, you are going to have other opportunities regarding where we are getting this water from, the catchment areas, how we will take care of them. I think that's a debate for another day. For today, let us encourage and call upon people to attend the engineers conference that is coming up. I think the other question is not mine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Waziri. Mine is very simple arithmetic. Kenya population, take an average of 50 million. We have 5,000 professional and consulting engineers, so it's a ratio of 1 to 10,000, which is far beyond the UNESCO recommendation. Thank you.
Okay. So you have heard it with precision from our chairman of the Engineers Board of Kenya. The ratio is 1 to 10,000, not good enough. Okay, so I think that is well noted. I would like us to take just one more remarks from Engineer James Mwangi. I think he requested to answer the questions, and that will be the last comment for the day. Thank you.
Actually, it's not to answer anything, but perhaps to support the initiative of government of involving private sector in the development of dams and other water infrastructure. The fact that this country now has a new PPP Act, and I believe regulations are being put in place, is an excellent opportunity for us to engage. What is abundantly clear is that even with a hard economy, there are investment funds in this country. And the beauty of those investment funds, they are pension funds, etc. It means that we as Kenyans have an opportunity to also benefit from the development of this infrastructure. It cannot be that we want funds only from outside, and once that is done, all the revenues that come from it, and including the profit, ends up not being in this country. So what I would be saying is that, Waziri, my plea is that perhaps at some opportune time, just as we are having the conference and when you'll join us, is probably to encourage us and perhaps even put in place a platform or a conference to unpack this whole issue of local participation in water infrastructure development using the public-private partnership model, so that we can understand and not wait until we get only the small corner jobs in the infrastructure development. And Waziri, we take your challenge that nothing stops us from actually forming a consortium, including the lenders, to undertake the projects fully as local. I know that certainly we have the engineering skills. So what is it else? Probably is the money, but I want to say that we also have the money. Asanteni. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Engineer James. Indeed, this conference of ours in next week, we shall also be talking about the role of green finance in combating climate change. So the financials, we have got a slot for you in the program. Make sure you attend the program. We are going to hear from also the chairman of Kenya Bankers Association. He'll be on the ground, and many other speakers will be talking about the big question of where is the money to support these programs. So yeah, thank you very much, Engineer. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want us to invite now the Engineer Shama Kiteme to give us a vote of thanks. We have come to the end of today's session, and thank you very much once again for honoring this event.
Thank you very much, Engineer Grace Kagondu, the first VP. Our chief guests, CS, Bwana Waziri, CS for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. As guided, I'm careful to mention the three of them. We're very grateful that you honored us this morning to join us. And we want to assure you that engineers design infrastructure that is safe, infrastructure that is economical, infrastructure that is sustainable, and infrastructure that is reliable. When you talk of dams, we will design dams that will not collapse like Solai Dam. I am well acquainted with the Water Act 2016 and water rules, and we know there is a space for us to apply our knowledge, and we will not disappoint. I particularly know that we only have about 30% sanitation coverage in this country, and that is not interesting. That is not interesting. We have to make this country open defecation free, and we will be there for that. But I've been given an opportunity just to pass a vote of thanks. Like you heard, my name is Engineer Shama Kiteme. I'm the Honorary Secretary, Institution of Engineers of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank each and every one of you. Of course, the CS for honoring us. We want to thank all our sponsors, NUPEA, Engineer Collins Juma, NCA, Engineer Maurice Akech, my friend, ABSA is represented here, Kura, Kera, represented one way or the other, and the State Department of Housing. We really enjoy a lot of good partnership from government, and this is really commendable. The EBK chair, our very own Engineer Erastus Mongera, and KEPS are represented by Engineer James Mwangi. Thank you very much. We want to appreciate the media houses that came to be with us this morning. Of course, I noted KBC, I noted Kenya News Agency, and we are very grateful that you made to be with us this morning. Absolutely, thank you very much. We have seen Engineer Kamau from Adi Water Development Agency, and thank you very much for being a very faithful partner to IEK. And ASEC. ASEC is also a very important partner of IEK. ASEC are basically our members. But I also want to appreciate the conference committee under the chairmanship of Engineer Mongera, and many of us here in the different committees, subcommittees of the conference committee. So we want to say thank you very much. You can see all over we have partners. I mean, the ones that I didn't mention, but one is very special to me, Nairobi Hospital, and I've seen a t-shirt from Nairobi Hospital, just wave. I have seen Telmec, I've seen so many of us, and we're very grateful. Now, this is just a teaser. Please come to Diani Reef on 21st. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be big, and you get to have nice time reflecting on these issues that you're talking about, engineering, sustainable engineering in the era of climate change. So thank you very much, everyone. We're very grateful for your partnership with IEK. Thank you very much.
Members, please feel free to enjoy your breakfast and leave at your own leisure. Thank you very much.